U.S. News Flash. October 3rd. These are the top Trump and government stories from yesterday that shaped America. Let's dive right in. President Trump has formally declared that the United States is in armed conflict with international drug cartels, labeling them unlawful combatants. The declaration clears the way for expanded U.S. military action in the Caribbean and along the southern border. Supporters call it a historic move to crush narcotics networks, saying Washington finally has the courage to act. But critics warn this gives the White House unchecked war powers with little oversight from Congress. Families in border states like Texas and Arizona are already voicing fear that their towns could become battlegrounds. Legal experts predict this fight will end up in court, testing the limits of presidential authority. FEMA has frozen billions of dollars in emergency management grants until states prove their population counts are accurate. That means hurricane shelters in Florida and wildfire response programs in California could be delayed at the very moment they're needed most. The administration says the pause is about accountability and making sure federal money matches state needs. But local leaders warn that every day of delay puts communities in danger. A Florida mayor said, "If a storm hits tomorrow, we won't have the beds or the supplies ready." Disaster experts fear this freeze could leave ordinary families exposed just as climate-driven emergencies intensify. More than 24 American cities filed lawsuits against the Trump administration over $350 million in Homeland Security grants. The cities argue that new conditions attached to the funding are unconstitutional and politically motivated. Public safety programs, police, fire, and emergency response could be left without critical money. Washington defends the changes, saying stronger oversight is needed to stop misuse of funds. But city leaders counter that residents are effectively being held hostage by partisan battles. A New York official said, "It's our neighborhoods that will pay the price." The lawsuits could set an important precedent on how far the federal government can go in attaching conditions to local funding. The Justice Department has abruptly removed 2 prosecutors with ties to the previous Biden administration. Officials describe it as a routine personnel decision and overdue house cleaning. But many legal observers call it a purge, a political move that undermines faith in the independence of America's justice system. Former prosecutors warn it could discourage lawyers from pursuing cases that challenge the administration's agenda. While the White House insists it's business as usual, critics say the move raises serious questions about whether justice is still blind. And finally, the Supreme Court has quietly expanded the use of its emergency docket, a process that allows cases to be decided quickly, without full arguments or lengthy opinions. For the White House, it's a fast and efficient way to push forward Trump's policies, from immigration enforcement to economic regulation. For critics, it's a dangerous shortcut that undermines transparency and erodes checks and balances. Constitutional scholars warn that too much reliance on the emergency docket shifts power away from full judicial review and concentrates it in the hands of just a few justices. For ordinary Americans, it could mean sweeping policy changes with little warning or debate. These were the headlines shaping America yesterday. Which one do you think matters most? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to US News Flash for your daily morning update.